Primary keys are artificially created primary keys where you have set increment by 1 and that increment is set by identity usually. And another confusion that generally people have is, maybe not all of you, but people think that a primary key column needs to be an identity column. Not necessarily, it's just that we are using it in that way actually. And identity column need not be only a primary key column, it can be anything else also. But we all know what an identity is. You can set a seed, you can set an increment, and with every new insert into the table, it will automatically insert one number basically, isn't it? Everybody is aware of it, no questions there basically. Now, what does a sequence do is, it is at a database level. It is used across multiple tables. Identity is unique only within a table. Now, this can be unique across the database basically. Okay, and it can be controlled by your application when to get the next sequence actually. Okay, now we'll see the syntax. It will be easier for you to understand once you see the syntax, given that all of us are programmers. Here it is, sequence. Zooming it up. Okay, there you go. So this is a create sequence, the sequence name as integer, start with the number 10, increment by 10. This will give me an error probably because I have already created this sequence, that is it. Okay, but this is the syntax, simple. Now I have done that. How do I get the value from the sequence? How do you get an identity value in a table? What is the normal thing? Radha? Attached identity will give you after it is inserted basically. But can you control what it should insert and when it should insert? When it should generate? No. That happens only after an insert. Automatically you make an insert into a table. When that row is inserted, the next identity is used basically, isn't it? Whereas with this, you don't need to insert a row. We can just say select next value from for global sequence. For is a keyword again. Let me uncomment this. Next value for global sequence is the sequence that we created as some alias name. I am giving as next. Gives me 10. Right? Now I never did any insert. That is the most important thing you need to understand basically. I have just done the next value and it has fetched me. I am running it again, gives me 20, the next value. Running it again, 30, running it again, 40, running it again, 50. So how is it significant? You can see we are going to create a table department. Department ID is not null, department name is varchar of 30, not null again. I think this will also error because the table is already created. You don't need to worry about it. I am going to insert into the tables, but first let's see what is there in the table. Select star from department. You can see that 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80, engineering sales, something is there. Right? Now remember that I was reusing that actually. Okay? Now what was the last time when we saw the value? I think we ran 3 or 4 times, maybe 30 or 40 base, 40. Sorry? 40. Okay. So now I am going to insert into this department table. So this is an integer value. I am just saying next value for global sequence. That is it. Right? Done. You see here? The most important and interesting thing is you can see that that 70 is getting reused basically, whereas it is not possible with a identity, isn't it? Now, is it a mistake? Is it a problem? No, it is not. It gives you more flexibility. It is for you to control how you want to use it actually. Okay? And remember that I never declared it as primary key also, that column. So even the insert never failed actually. So you have control with what you want to do with your sequence, and this is one of the biggest triggers that was from the developer community to Microsoft. Introduce sequence. So finally they introduced, because this has been available with Oracle etc. for a long time. So how do you alter a sequence? Here it is. When I set alter global sequence, restart with 10, it will start back from 10 actually. Now this part gives you the full thing. Create sequence, start with this number, increment this number, minimum value is this, maximum value is this. What happens when you reach the maximum value? Two items are possible. If you set that cycle property, there is a property named cycle, to true, then it will restart from 10. If you say it is false, you will get an error saying that the max value has been reached for this sequence actually. Alright, we'll move on. Clear everyone? Okay, I did want to show you very quickly in the Object Explorer itself how to reach a sequence. You go to programmability, you have the stored procedure functions etc. Like that, you have a new thing called sequences here. This is the sequence we created. You can do properties. You can see here increment by 10, restart sequence. If I click here, then it will restart, right? That cycle property we told is this. Another most important thing, two things that I want to say before we proceed to the next chapter on sequences. You can get a range of sequences for your application. Before you do something, you can reserve a range. Say that give me this range from 50 to some 5 numbers or 100 numbers or whatever. Then you can manipulate it based on whatever you want to do with your application. So you are not limited by you need to insert first to get the sequence, or it can be only one at a time. No, you can get a range basically. Alright? Okay. Another thing is, when I saw the word cache, I remembered you can keep the next sequences ready in the cache of the SQL Server itself, so that you don't need to go to the system table every time to fetch it actually. So that's a performance plus point again. Now after all this, I'm sure some of us are a bit confused on where do I exactly use this. So I have just lifted this from MSDN. We'll quickly read through it. Application requires a number before the insert into the table is made. Application requires sharing a single series of numbers between multiple tables or multiple columns within a table. This is the sequence, is the way to go. Application must restart the number series when a specified number is reached. We talked about it. Application requires a second value to be sorted by another field. The next value for function can apply overclass to the function call. Overclass can guarantee blah blah blah. What does it say? Simple. You want to sort. You want the capability to sort the sequence values by some other field. You cannot do that by increment, identity. So you go for a sequence actually. So it requires multiple numbers to be assigned at the same time. So you can do a SP sequence get range. The one we talked about here is here SP sequence get range will give you a range of numbers to be reserved basically. So it's quite powerful for anyone who wants to do such manipulations in your application with a global number etc. Alright, we'll move on. With result set, this is very interesting again. We know about allies, but once you create a stored procedure, again examples will help. What is going on? Who? Okay. Remember that department table we created for that sequence example? We are going to reuse it. Okay. So all it says is create this select actually, right? And I think I already have the stored procedure also. It will give me an error if I run it. Yes. So basically it's a stored procedure which does a simple select from that department table we just created. Now all I'm going to say is execute this, done. Now I have a requirement where I want this dip ID to come as department number or whatever, and dip name to come as department name and in a different data type. How do I do that? The only way I was doing until now is I'll get it in my program. Let us say it is C#, then I'll create a data table, then I'll manipulate in that data table to whatever I want basically. But with result set option, what you can do is same stored procedure is called with result sets keyword. Then you say in the order in which there is, you are going to select department number instead of department ID, department name instead of this dep name, and you also declare whatever data type you want to declare. Run this now. You see the output, the header columns, it has changed, and it is a varchar field now basically. So the result set manipulation is much more easier now with result set keyword. Clear? Okay. Error handling, it's much easier, simpler, similar to .NET now. You don't need to do the utter trace error. If you have used try catch in your SQL, if you're not using, please start using it with your programs and SPs actually. And if you have been using trace error, you know how difficult it is. We'll quickly see an example. Okay, so this is the syntax: begin try, whatever I want to do, end try, begin catch. Then I need to declare two variables, one for error message, the other for error severity. I need to set those variables to it, and then I need to use raise error with that whenever I want to raise a error to the program which is catching it, etc. This is the syntax, right? Now I run this, I get the output saying that divide by 0 encountered, because that is the error message and I am raising it actually. Alright. Why did that come? Because I am doing 1000 by 0 here, nothing but. Alright. Now with the 2012, you don't need to do this declare here, you don't need to this select, set, raise error, nothing. You just do throw, that's it. Internally it will take care of everything, and your catching program, catching as in the program which is catching your errors, your tire or your layer or whatever, will directly get this error message basically. Clear everyone? Simple. We'll run. We have exhausted 1 hour 10 minutes since the start of the seminar. I think I'll take max another 5 to 10 minutes and we'll be done. Yes. The last feature is file table in SQL 2012. No, not the last feature, this discussion. This again I wrote a tip some time back, so I'm going to take advantage of that tip rather than re-saying everything on our own actually. I'll just explain the tip here. What is file table? Why is it used? Very quickly, file stream is a feature that was introduced with SQL 2008 actually, where they allowed you to store whatever you want to store in a file as a file object, etc., directly within the SQL Server. This is a big hit with companies and applications which produces document management systems. Until then, what you need to do is you need to store the physical file in a drive. Then you need to create your own table where you will say that this file I have stored in this path, and then you will have another problem which is physical path and the relative path basically, right? So the physical path is this, and then you need to put an impersonation in .NET to get the file object and so on and so forth. Too many complications, and everyone wanted one-stop feature to manage the files. So they introduced file stream basically. You can read more about file stream. I have given you a link in the tip itself here. But in short, it just allows you to do things, that's it actually. Now, how do you enable file stream is, I think we need my machine for this, but we'll see. To configure the instance, to file stream, here it is, SQL Server Configuration Manager. Go to the properties of the SQL Server instance you are running, go to this file stream tab and enable that. Okay, and you give a Windows share name also. I am going to give it as SQL Documents. Say OK. And then at SQL Server level, you need to do the same. That is at instance level. Now it is at server level. File stream access level, I'm going to enable it. Okay, so now I have enabled file stream for this instance and for this database server actually. I'm just going to restart the service. Sorry, this is taking more than needed because unfortunately this machine didn't have this enabled before. Oh, this was SQL Express instance. In 2012, they have introduced a concept called file table. So what is file table? I'm showing it here. We have this SQL documents. This is the one that we created right now when we enabled that file stream actually. I go to tables. You see that there is something called a file table here. Now get inside this. You can see that there is something called SQL document store. So how did that get created? We'll see that. No. Okay, it doesn't matter, I'll show you. So this table, when you create it, when you enable the file table, it will have columns which are auto created, and this table is also auto created. What this does to you is, when I do so it gives me stream ID, file stream name, this is the name of the file actually, the path locator, and so on and so forth. Now most important thing is